So, what is your expectations? I mean, the company must be having some strategic conversations about the future. What does it look like for you guys? I mean, is the future in cell tones or ringtones, or is the future making music?
Well, I wouldn't say for a company like us, the future is ringtones. It's a little piece of it, but we're really an adult music-oriented company. That's what our catalog represents for the most part, and that's how we go about recording and releasing and marketing new artists. We're not going for the latest teen hit. Well,
that's just the 1960s.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney. So you're probably
those people aren't those fans aren't teens anymore.
You're going to expand, though, right? I mean, you're not going to just stay in that adult market, are you?
Well, that's our focus. That's our focus. Well, now, when I say adult, that covers a variety of genres.
Well, Stax, R&B.
Yeah.
Well, you don't depend on radio play to sell your records, right?
It's a component. It depends on the project. Some of these R&B projects are, radio is an important component. Jazz projects, jazz radio is not a very significant marketing component in terms of what it does of its own volition to generate CD sales, but it's that in combination with other things working in synergy that makes jazz radio important.
So
also, as a story to tell, when you have a #1 jazz record at jazz radio, it may not be in of itself stimulating a whole lot in the way of sales, but the artist booking agent can say, right, we've got the #1 jazz record, right, and all these other things that you can use that piece to communicate the story of success helps market the record.
Do you all sit around and figure out what you think may happen in 5 years, where the business is going?
We're trying to.
What's your conclusion? Where is it going? Is it all the internet?
Well, I don't think it's ever going to be all the internet. I think maybe 10 years from now it'll be predominantly internet, and CDs will still be a niche in the same way that, or maybe not in the same way, but there's still a niche LP market. But currently, it has that business hasn't increased fast enough to offset what we're losing in CDs. I think that's ultimately where it may be going. That seems to be the writing on the wall,
right,
but it's not there yet. So that's the challenge we face right now. Is we can see what the future might look like, but it's not here yet.
Right. What about value added to your CD? Do you add video, or do you add what do you think in terms of value added for the product?
Yeah, well, certainly in terms of the reissues that we work on, wherever I can find an unreleased track, previously unissued track that's of high quality, I like to include it in the context of it having been recorded in the context of the rest of the material that's on a particular record. In terms of video, that can be a nice value added. The problem is the costs associated with video often make it cost prohibitive. So it really it comes down to what the project is, what we think this other component will actually generate in terms of additional sales, and is it really worth doing? Does it make sense to do that?
Do you have a YouTube channel? Do you have a MySpace account? I mean, do you participate in any of those things?
Yeah, in fact, we have a guy who just focuses on what we call new media, all the new media stuff, maintaining our MySpace page, getting online editorial at the various digital download sites for our releases, that kind of stuff. So we're definitely doing everything we can to maximize the opportunities in the digital world. It's not like that's something that we're ignoring.
Right.
So we recognize the value in that.
Who takes care of the Starbucks account? Are you supplying them with a steady stream of product? Or do you meet with those people and determine ideas of things that you want to do, or how does it work?
Well, in terms of going forward with the Hear Music label, which that label is formed in partnership with Concord and Starbucks.
So you own part of it?
Yes. So, and the Paul McCartney recording will be the first release on that label. Of course, the obvious advantage of that is anything that comes out on that new Hear Music label gets distribution in Starbucks stores. And the success of the Ray Charles record really demonstrated the value in that.
How many records did they sell? I mean, for you guys through the stores?
Well, it depends on the project. I mean,
Ray Charles.
The Ray Charles did over 8 million worldwide.
8 million?
Not just through Starbucks.
But still.
But
that's
as I understand it, the deal was set up so that they had guaranteed that they would take 200,000 in to start. And I'm not even sure what they're up to now, but it's well beyond that. But the thing is that in addition to the sales at Starbucks stores, the awareness that it generates, even if people don't necessarily pick it up there, they go into Starbucks every day to get their latte. People aren't walking into Borders every day or Barnes & Noble every day or any other CD retailer every day or even visiting Amazon every day, but you do have people walking into Starbucks every single day. So the repeat impressions that you get from that kind of placement are phenomenal. It's you just don't have that kind of saturation at any other retail outlet that we deal with.
What about your price points? I mean, are you selling your reissues for a midline price?
Yes.
What is the retail price of an average reissue for you?
Average reissue is $11.98.
So they end up being sold for what in the stores?
It depends on if it's in a sales program, it'll be down to like $9.98. Some retailers may mark it up a little. Some may sell it at $12.98. We can only suggest what the list price is. It's up to them to price it.
Yeah, right. Well, how do you deal with the fact of so many record stores closing? I mean, if you lost Tower, you lost a major account, right? I mean, so it's a dwindling number of possibilities here. Is this not terrifying to the company in some sense? How are they going to deal?
Terrifying. It's unsettling, to say the least.
I'll take that.
Tower was a very important account for us and any other company like us that has a deep catalog.
You're right.
Because
you can't sell it in Walmart.
Yeah, Walmart, Best Buy, they're not gonna stock your deep catalog. Tower would, and since we have such a big catalog, they were a very important retailer for us. So.
There's not that many accounts you can sell to, right? I mean, there's Barnes & Noble, there's Borders.
And Borders, those are the main ones, and Amazon, of course. I mean, you have to look at Amazon as an account. Because more and more people are acquiring their music that way, just going online and buying the CD, if not downloading it.
So they buy it for the same price a record store would buy it, or a distributor would buy it?
They get it from our distributor just like any store.
Oh, really?
So they're considered a retail account just like Borders is, just like Barnes & Noble is. So they acquire our product through universal distribution.
So not all of your records are going to go into Borders. The Ray Charles went in there, right? Mm-hmm. So what kind of, you pay for the listening stations, you pay for the end caps? I mean, it costs money to put these records in the stores, or they just want them because they know they're going to sell it?
Yes.
It's not your department?
No, well, we do. Borders is an important account for us. And they do typically stock our new releases across the board, but to get any significant quantities in there, you do need to participate in retail co-op programs such as listening stations, end cap placement, and all of that stuff, like you said, costs money. They don't typically do that for free.
No. What about the radio? Do you have your own in-house promotion people, or do you hire that out? Do you hire people to do it?
It's both. We have an in-house staff, and they quarterback and oversee independents that we hire.
What's the gross of Concord at this stage of the game? How much money do they make? Is that a secret?
Yeah. We're not a public company.
So, oh, that's right. Why don't you tell the ladies and gentlemen who is the primary? Some of them may know this name.
Our majority shareholder is a company called Act 3 Communications, and that's Hal Gaba and Norman Lear's company.
Y'all know Norman Lear?
Norman Lear, the television producer.
He made his kind of fortune, I guess, in the 70s, right?
Right.
All in the Family, and all those shows that spun off from that.
The Jeffersons,
he
all
had the Jeffersons,
kinds of different shows.
So is he still active in the TV world? Didn't he just do the movie, what was the Happy Feet movie? Wasn't that his movie?
He was involved with that. That was Village Roadshow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the man that owned your company, that owned Fantasy, was Saul Zaentz, and he did movie production. He did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Right, and Amadeus.
Yeah. Number of big hits. Chariots of Fire or something? There was some other big movie that they were working on. So what happened to all that? Is Saul out of the picture altogether?
Saul Zaentz was the primary owner of Fantasy,
right.
And also Ralph Kaffel, who Ralph Kaffel was the one who really ran the record division. Right. So when we acquired Fantasy at the end of 2004, we acquired the master tapes in terms of the recordings, the publishing companies, and we acquired Fantasy Studios. Saul Zaentz kept his film companies. Right. We didn't acquire the film companies, and we didn't acquire actually the building that we're in.
Really?
Right. So we're leasing space in that building.
And is Ralph still running the company?
No.
So who's there in Berkeley that's running that company?
Well, I'm in the Berkeley office. I mean, Glenn Barros is running the company.
But he's in L.A., right?
In other words, it's all part of Concord Music Group,
right.
And Glenn Barros is the president of Concord Music Group.
Right.
We still have a staff in Berkeley, and as well as the studios and the staff that goes with the studios. Right. I'm based in the Berkeley office, even though I've been a longtime employee of Concord, not Fantasy per se, but I was Bay Area based before we acquired Fantasy, so I conveniently moved into the Fantasy building after that happened.